Breathe, Vimal, breathe. What is up, guys? Vimal here, and welcome back to my channel. And I cannot keep calm today because in the house we have NVIDIA's all new RTX 4070 Ti Super Edition card. Just last week, you people know, right? We made our video and review on 4070 Super card, and in that I got so many comments and questions like, Vimal, bro, where is your video on the Ti Edition Super card and also the new 4080 Super? Array, let me use it for some time. Plus, there was an embargo, so even if I had the card, I cannot post the video. But today it's about time, guys. We will be sharing my complete details on the new Ti Super Edition card. There is a lot I'll have to talk about, and as I've told you, I've been using this card for almost like 5-6 days, and we'll be giving like detailed benchmarks at different resolutions. We'll also do a bit of comparisons, and main thing is I'll tell you what exactly is new on the 4070 Ti Super Edition card compared to their already existing 4070 Ti. Today in the house we have Inno3D's RTX 4070 Ti Super GPU, and that too this is a twin X2 OC White Edition card. Now this is not something new. We've already seen White Edition GPUs from Inno3D last time only on the 4070 Ti. It has a dual tone design with a white and silver paint job, features dual fans at the top side, 2-slot design, and beautiful looking card. First, let me get to the main specs and configuration and tell you what exactly NVIDIA has made changes compared to 4070 Ti. The new card is still based on NVIDIA's Ada Lovelace architecture, but the major change is the GPU chip that they're using. So previously, up until now, all the 70 class GPUs in the 40 series used to be based on AD104, but looks like with the 4070 Ti last time itself, they've peaked out the max potential they could squeeze out from this card, and that is the reason now they finally made the switch to AD103 GPU, which is actually found on the 4080 and 4090 class powerful GPUs, guys. So what does that mean? You are getting a lot of improvements and changes. Look at the difference over here. You can check out all the numbers on your screen. You're getting slightly boosted clock frequencies, higher number of CUDA cores, and the major improvement I'd say is finally we are getting like increased VRAM capacity from 12 GB to 16 GB GDDR6 memory, and that too with a wider bus width of up to like 256-bit. This is all possible because of AD103 GPU. But apart from that, the TGP and L2 cache still remains the same as already existing 4070 Ti. So on paper, the specs and configuration look quite promising, right? In fact, you might believe that this might actually offer very similar sort of performance to the 4080 because that is also based on AD103 only. You're getting similar 16 GB VRAM there also with a similar memory bus width. But nah, NVIDIA definitely wanted to keep a bit of distance between the 4070 Ti Super and the 4080. On the front, they might be looking very similar on paper, but there are subtle differences that will keep the 4080 still ahead of the 4070 Ti Super. We'll talk about all of that also in this video. You'll get like a very detailed benchmarks and comparisons in this video. So what are we waiting for? Let's quickly jump into the benchmarks and talk about the review as well as performance of this card. But wait a second, before that, let me quickly talk about the testable setup I'll be using for this particular review. So as usual, I'll be going with Intel's 12th Gen i9 and 12900K paired with RTX 4070 Ti Super Edition card from Inno3D, that to the Twin X2 variant, which comes with 16 gigs of GDDR6X memory. And if you're talking about the RAM, I'll be using 16 GB 8x2 kit from Team T-Force clocked at 3600 MHz, and all of that being powered by 850 watt power supply. Now let's jump into the benchmarks and check out the real world gaming performance of this card. How does the new 4070 Ti Super perform right now in the market? We'll be doing a lot of benchmarks, guys. We'll be playing these games at different resolutions with ray tracing and also NVIDIA technologies on and off. Plus, we'll also be doing a bit of comparisons as well with the existing 40 series nearby cards and also some competitors. So make sure to watch it till the end. First of all, you people know, right, 4070 Ti Super was specifically made for like ultimate 1440p gaming. No compromise gaming over here. Plus, you can do a bit of 4K gaming as well. So we will be testing all the games at minimum 1440p resolution and 4K only. I will not be touching 1080p at all because when you're spending almost like 80-90,000 on a graphic card, I'm pretty sure you'll be playing games at higher resolutions only. So starting off, first we'll play Cyberpunk 2077. This would be like a really good test. So first we'll be testing out this game at 1440p resolution and all the graphics set to like maximum ultra in the game. And in this particular test, ray tracing and DLSS including frame generation are off. So let's quickly check out how does the game perform. My god, are you people looking at the frame rate? Triple digit FPS guys, raw rasterization performance. We were getting an average of around 110 to 115 FPS in the middle of Night City. Now that is the kind of performance you can expect on the 4070 Ti Super guys at 1440p maximum ultra graphics, even without using any sort of upscaling. Everything feels like buttery smooth and game runs like muska on this card. In certain action and graphic intensive scenes, FPS was slightly dropping to around 90-95 FPS, but still pretty good job I would say. Now let's quickly enable ray tracing at the same 1440p maximum ultra graphics and check out the performance. Okay, we can definitely see a hit in the performance. FPS has straight dropped from 110-115 to 70-75 FPS on an average, but still pretty good guys. Even without DLSS and frame generation, game is quite playable with ray tracing. Again, we are talking about Cyberpunk 2077, which is a very graphic intensive game. Man, whenever I play this game, I'm really awe-inspired by the graphics. Just look at that beautiful looking city, right? Peak game I would say, still in 2024. Now let's quickly enable frame generation and also DLSS 3.5 and check out how the Cyberpunk perform with all of these at 1440p maximum ultra graphics. Oh wow, now that is what I'm talking about. We're almost seeing like double the performance digits guys. Look at that FPS from 70-75 to 125, 130, 35 also on an average. Now that kind of difference DLSS 3.5 and frame generation can do. So kudos NVIDIA, really good job. So guys, simply by enabling frame generation and DLSS 3.5, you can play this game with like triple digit FPS at 1440p even with maximum ray tracing graphics. So 4070 Ti Super is like very well capable of these sort of settings. Now let's bump up the resolution to 4K maximum ultra graphics and see if this card can handle it. So right now in this particular test, ray tracing and DLSS both are off, and on an average we were getting around like 75 to 80 FPS. Not bad man. I mean, this is at 4K max graphics, right? So still quite playable with really good FPS, above 60 only, so you can easily play the game on your 4K TV as well. I'm quite curious about ray tracing performance at 4K, so let's quickly enable ray tracing. I'll also turn on frame generation and DLSS because we are doing this at 4K, right? It might be quite difficult for the 4070 series. Anyways, as you can see, we can definitely see a bit of improvement straight from 70-75 to 90-95 FPS when frame generation and DLSS has been turned on at 4K. So really good results guys, and sometimes we were even getting around like 100 FPS. Moving on, let's also try out Last of Us Part 1. That is also a very graphic intensive game, and we've seen the limitations of 12GB VRAM on the 4070 Super last time. Now let's see how does the 16GB VRAM on the Ti edition of the Super card perform on the same game. So this game also will be playing at different resolutions and different graphics. Right now in this first test, we're playing the game at 1440p maximum ultra graphics possible in the game, and on an average we were getting around like impressive 85 to 90 FPS. So 16GB VRAM definitely makes a difference guys. What happens is when you're playing these sort of graphic intensive AAA title games with limited 10 or 12GB VRAM and you try to go to higher resolutions or maybe max out graphics, you get instabilities. Certain times games also crash, which I've actually faced a lot of times. Those sort of problems you'll not get over here. Plus you're not only getting like 16GB of increased VRAM, you're also getting like a much wider 256-bit memory bus width. That also definitely adds to the overall performance. Quickly increasing the resolution to 4K, keeping the graphics still at maximum ultra in the game, we were still getting around like impressive 50 to 55 FPS guys, which is quite playable I would say. Though in certain action scenes, maybe like bomb blast or these sort of stuff, FPS was slightly dropping to around like 45 FPS. Still pretty much playable at maximum graphic settings. If you want to enjoy like a very consistent 60 or 70 plus FPS, right, slightly lower down the graphics, maybe like to very high from ultra, and you can definitely enjoy the whole experience at 4K. Moving on to the third game, which is SpiderMan Remastered. This also will be playing at different resolutions. In this first clip, we'll be testing the game at 1440p resolution, maximum ultra graphics, ray tracing and DLSS off. And as you can see, on an average, we were getting a raw performance of triple digit FPS guys, 130 to 135. Muska gaming performance on the 4070 Ti Super. No lags or stutters so far, and I'm really enjoying gaming on this card. Quickly enabling ray tracing at the same 1440p maximum ultra graphics, FPS has slightly taken a hit, and now we were getting around like 80-85 FPS. Again though, keep in mind DLSS is still not enabled. If we enable DLSS, right, you can definitely see a bit of slight improvement I would say. From 80 to you're getting around like 90-95 FPS. quickly increasing the resolution to 4K and keeping the graphics still at maximum ultra, and this time ray tracing and DLSS off, we were getting an average of around 100 to 110 FPS. So at 4K also guys, you're getting triple digit FPS in this game. And in this last test, let's also enable ray tracing and DLSS at 4K ultra graphics, and let's check out the results. Not bad, right? Quite impressive, I would say. Look at the FPS, 75 to 80 with ray tracing at 4K. Now, what more can you expect from a 4070 series card, guys? I mean, NVIDIA has like maxed out the 70 series this year. On its own, the GPU looks quite promising, right? I mean, you people saw the gaming benchmarks, definitely good results, but once you come to the comparisons, you will get to know the actual truth. Because if you talk of the gen to gen performance uplift and compare it with the previously existing 4070 Ti, there is not much of a performance improvement, I would say. So I've tested like multiple number of games, AAA title games at 1440p and 4K, and hardly found the difference to be only around like 4 to 5%. Unlike the 4070 Super, which offered up to 14 to 15% performance uplift. And at 4K, if you compare, right, we have slightly improved results at around 8 to 9% faster than the existing 4070 Ti. Despite all the specs looking quite impressive, like increased VRAM capacity of up to 16GB GDDR6 memory with a wider 256-bit memory bus width, people were expecting the 4070 Ti Super to offer 4080 kind of level performance. But do not be fooled by the specs shown on the website, guys. Despite 4070 Ti Super is being based on the same AD103 GPU of the 4080, there are subtle differences that NVIDIA has kept, making 4070 Ti Super slightly slower than the 4080. Main difference comes in the number of CUDA cores. On the 4080, right, you're getting almost like 15% more cores. 9728 CUDA cores are there. If you look at the 4070 Ti Super card, right, you're only getting like 8448. Though both are having like 16GB GDDR6 memory, main difference will come in the L2 cache. On the 4070 Ti Super, right, NVIDIA has kept the same 48 MB cache just like the 4070 Ti, but on the 4080 you're getting increased 33% more cache is available, almost 64 MB is there. So this will also make a bit of difference. And how can you miss out the TGP ratings as well? 4070 Ti Super consumes around like 285 watts of TGP, but 4080 can drop to like 320 watts, making 4080 still around like 10 to 12% faster than the 4070 Ti Super. So these are a couple of things you'll have to keep in mind. But if you compare it to the previous Gen 30 series GPU, right, 4070 Ti Super is actually faster than the 3090 Ti by almost like 4 to 5%. Now that does sound promising, right? Let's also compare it with the AMD competition side. So the nearest competitor to 4070 Ti Super from AMD is 7900 XT. And let me tell you, 4070 Ti Super is actually 2 to 3% slower than the 7900 XT if you're talking strictly in terms of rasterization performance. I'm not comparing ray tracing or upscaling technologies, guys, because ray tracing obviously NVIDIA is much more superior with their DLSS and frame generation. So 4070 Ti Super, if you talk about ray tracing, right, that is obviously like 25 to 30% offers better performance than the 7900 XT. So that is the current situation of the 4070 Ti Super, guys. What do you people think? Share your thoughts in the comment section down below. It stands somewhere in between the 4070 Ti and 7900 XT. I was really hoping 4070 Ti Super would be like very close to 4080, but nah, they definitely kept a bit of distance. So for whom exactly is this card targeted for? See, if you're a gamer who's looking for a 1440p gaming card, right, you want like best possible, no compromise 1440p gaming with high frame rate, you can definitely go for the Super Edition card. Main difference is that higher VRAM capacity, guys. If you look at the 4070 Super, that is also really good in terms of 1440p, but it may not be future proof because, as I've told you, these days AAA title games in 2024 are getting very demanding and almost utilizing 99-100% of the GPU, and 12GB VRAM may not be sufficient. You might not be able to play all the games at higher resolution with maximum graphics. So that problem has been solved by the 4070 Ti Super Edition card, making it much more future proof for you. And don't forget, as I've shown you during the benchmarks, not just 1440p, you can also comfortably play games at 4K resolution as well with minimum 55 to 60 FPS with slight tweak in the graphics. Not ultra settings maybe, but at least mix and match between high and very high, you will easily get these sort of results. So that's it, our video on this new card from NVIDIA. You people can also definitely share your feedback and thoughts in the comment section. And wait a second, I haven't told you about the pricing, right? So 4070 Ti Super is going to be like very close to like 85 or maybe like 90,000 rupees in the Indian market. They're gonna keep the pricing very similar to the already existing 4070 Ti, and the older edition 4070 Ti might get like a slight price cut, making it much more affordable. If you all enjoyed watching this video and got complete information, make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel for more such awesome content. And I'll see you all in my next one.